3 years ago, I made this video showing you how to build a general store completely from scratch, and you guys seem to love it. Now, a lot has changed in the last 3 years, and so this video is gonna be my attempt at going over the step-by-step process of creating your very first dropshipping store. Now, this by no means is gonna be the perfect model store, and we're gonna be doing a few things to cut corners just to reduce the time that it takes. But if you spend a little bit more time and put a little bit more elbow grease into it, you can have a store that looks twice as good as the one that we're gonna build together today. Now, we're gonna cover everything from coming up with a brand name, creating a logo, importing our headers and footers and configuring those in a way that's intuitive and easy to navigate for customers, importing a product, setting up the product description, and of course, configuring our theme, and setting up the shipping, markets, and payment processors in a way that we can capture payments from customers. Now, because we're only going to be covering some of the things at the surface level for how to build a dropshipping store, if you want a more in-depth tutorial and more advanced trainings on how to actually put these things into practice in a little bit more depth and at your own pace, I highly recommend joining the Dropscale Mastermind, which is going to be one of the first links in the description of this video. All right, now let's get into it. So we're going to be covering, again, a variety of things such as store setup, importing products, coming up with a brand name, coming up with a store logo, our theme settings, configuring our product images, our variant images, product features, and then setting up the product page, and then briefly touching on how we structure our home pages. Although the product page by far is the most important thing. All right, so as you guys can see on my screen, I've already prepared a couple of things, just a quick checklist that we want to go ahead and follow. So we want to start a free trial on Shopify. They have a $1 for 3 months, basically a 90-day trial. We want to download an app to be able to import products from AliExpress. It doesn't matter what it is. You can use an app like DSers, which I'm going to show you how to use in this video. We're going to import a product together with the DSers Chrome extension. We're going to configure the header and footer pages. We're going to set up shipping, markets, and payments. We're going to add a logo and simultaneously come up with a brand name, which I'm pretty good at. So we're going to just do those two things quickly together. And then we're going to configure that product page. Now, I've already gone ahead and done a little bit of preparation, and I found a brand that I really liked, and it's a pretty generic product. Shout out to my boy Jordan Welsh, who built and actually exited a brand selling this exact same product. So when I stumbled across it, I said, you know what, this is a proven product. This brand particularly is doing a really good job at positioning their offer and setting up some of their copy. So I'm going to use some of their product images, use some of their copy. This is not what I would do for a typical store. This is purely going to be for demonstration purposes, but I do want to show you what type of product image quality that we strive for, and copy and product page layout and all those fun things that I think this brand does really, really well. So I went in and took some of the description sections. I took 2 of them, as well as images that this company had. Again, these are images that you're going to want to create on your own, work with editors, work with UGC creators to source custom content. If you really want to scale the product as profitably as possible and not run into issues and unethically steal other companies or individuals' content. But again, for the sake of speed, I've already prepared this. I'm not going to go too into depth on copy and things like that. I just want to show you how to set up a product page on a clean, high converting store as quickly as possible. All right, so first things first, we already went ahead and started our free trial. So we have, it defaults to say my store. And within this, you're going to get, and once you actually sign up, you're going to get redirected to kind of the homepage that looks like this, where you see all the different places that you can navigate once you start getting orders, when you want to set up discounts, all that fun stuff. But the first place that we're going to want to go to, but before we even talk about configuring the website, the most important thing is the product. Now, since I've already gone ahead and downloaded an app that allows me to import the product, I'm going to check this guy off, but you're going to want to do that on your own. So you just go to the App Store, you type in DSers, you can pick the free plan, create a brand new account. And now, to be very clear, we don't fulfill using this app. We just import the products to the website. And then we actually use private suppliers and agents to fulfill the orders through better shipping lines who are more reliable and actually vet the product quality before shipping the product out to customers. And that's how you run a good dropshipping business. And you don't get the bad rap that a lot of other dropshipping companies have, because they genuinely don't work with good manufacturers, suppliers, shipping lines, distributors, etc. So once you download DSers, it's going to look something like this, where you're going to be configuring things. And an important thing to do is download the Chrome extension. That's going to allow you to import that product from AliExpress to your store. And DSers is going to be kind of that middleman that helps you configure all the product settings and pricing and images before you push that to your store, so that once you do push it to the store, it's ready to be sold as is, other than some of the cosmetic changes that you have to make on the website. So what I've already gone ahead and done is I went to AliExpress, I found the exact product link that I wanted to import, and using the Chrome extension, I was able to click a big orange button that says import to de-essers. Now, just to quickly show you what that looks like, it's right here. So you click on add to de-essers, and then it actually adds it to your import list here behind the scenes of de-essers. So if you click on the import list, you'll see the product, and this is where you can go ahead and edit the product information and details. Now, part of this import process is going to be coming up with a title. It's going to be specifying the pricing that you want to charge, the compare app prices, the variant names, configuring the description, all of that fun stuff. All right, so I just added in the description, I just changed the product name to Sleep Wrap Pro. So we wanna make sure that that's actually reflectant here. So we're gonna say Bluetooth, we'll call it the Bluetooth Sleep Wrap Pro Mask. And I hope that I'm pronouncing Bluetooth right. Now for the variants, I've already gone ahead and done this, but in order to bulk select and change the price, you just come over here, and then you can change the compare app price for all of the variants simultaneously. Obviously, if you have different SKUs, different variants that require different pricing tiers, it will make it a little bit more complex, but you'll just have to go in and manually change those. Now, this supplier happens to have United States stock, so I'm gonna choose US for the stock, and I'm gonna choose ship to the United States via USPS. That way my customer gets the best experience possible. Now for the product images, I actually am gonna go ahead and use some of the product images from the reference brand that we found. Again, I don't recommend doing this. I'm just doing it for the sake of speed to show you an example of the style of product photos that we want to strive for. This is probably the only somewhat decent image, so that's the only one that I'm gonna actually keep. So once this looks the way that you want it, you can go ahead and push this to store. So none of these things matter if you're not actually using that AliExpress supplier. In this instance, I mean, you could if you wanted to because they have USPS shipping, but I'd still probably recommend working with an agent. And so if you are going to be using that USPS AliExpress supplier, then you are going to check some of these things to make sure that they automatically update. But in our instance, we just care about publishing this to our online store. All right, so now that we've published this to our store, you can see that it actually shows up as a product within our product section. So if we are able to offer this, we want to actually show that we're shipping from the United States because that's pretty cool. It can increase the trust that you have with your customers because there's this inherent distrust of some customers when you ship a product from China, even though most products are manufactured in China. And now I've grabbed some of the images that we wanted to use off to the side. So I'm just gonna drag these in. It's literally that simple to add the product photos. And I'm gonna move this image last because it's my least favorite, and these ones are my most favorite. And so I'm gonna add these in the front. Now, what you can also do is you can choose to actually show the different colored variants, right? The difference between something like a gray and something like a black. And so I can click on done. And then now when they hover over gray, it's going to show them this product. Whereas when they hover over black, it might show them this one. So same product, two different styles. Important to be as clear to your customers what it is that they're actually going to get as possible. Now, again, none of this stuff really matters as far as like the shipping and the, the values here and your variants. Again, if you're fulfilling from a supplier or a manufacturer that does have those variants and that ships from multiple locations. So you can really put whatever you want if that's the arrangement. But if you are fulfilling from AliExpress, which again, I don't recommend or condone, then these would hold true because this will sync up to a platform like AutoDS where they need to know, hey, what shipping line do you want to use when you're fulfilling these orders? So now that this is done, we have not touched anything about the theme, but we can actually go to preview and we could see what it would look like on the store so far with absolutely zero configuration. And so without having done anything, it doesn't look that bad. We got some good images. We have some, we have our description in place. The second image is a little bit stretched out, so we can go in and fix that. We don't really have a header or a footer set up or our logos, but like it's already a half functioning website. So we've just went ahead and imported a product, the Chrome extension. Now we're gonna wanna go ahead and configure our header and our footer pages. All right, so in order to do this, we're gonna go into settings. And first we're gonna start over here with our policies. So the cool thing is that Shopify already has these default policies where you can insert a template and you can go ahead and swap in certain keywords, right? So this is the email that we used. So there's gonna be certain places where you wanna search your email, your address, your phone number, all of these things that you might wanna swap out and make sure that they're aligned with what your company actually does, with where customers can actually return their order, things of that nature. But for the most part, these are like 99% set up in a way that you don't have to change them much. Now we have our own templates over here in our pages and policies. So this is kind of the structure that we use. So for our header, we use FAQ, about us, contact us, track your order. Footer, we use track order, shipping and delivery, privacy policy, refund policy, terms of service, and contact us. Now for track your order, this is pretty simple to set up, and this will allow the customer to import their tracking number and retrieve the information associated with it. And then same thing with contact us. Both of these will require a little bit of extra effort in order to configure because there's a certain template that you'll need to use for them, but they're very simple to configure. All right, so now double checking what we have versus what we need. FAQ, about us, contact us, track your order. From the legal pages, we have our shipping and delivery that we just set up. We have our privacy policy. I don't think we have a refund policy yet. We do have terms of service, and we can create contact us right now. So when you're done with these policies, you can actually hop back out into the kind of Shopify home storefront, and you're going to want to go into online store and then pages. And the pages is where you're actually going to create things like this contact page, which already has a default contact template, and you can add some more context here, like, hey, email us at this email, or fill out the contact form below in order to have our team be able to best assist you. So here's an example of how we might structure something like this. And then you can actually link this to your track your order landing page URL or your website URL. And the only thing you have to be conscious of there is if you ever change your website URL, you would just have to change any of these hyperlinks. So then for any new pages, such as an FAQ section, we want to just go ahead and create a new page and then add in and we can just use this default page in order to do so. So for the FAQ, you can choose to keep a very generic FAQ list, something like this, where they're kind of like one size fits all questions and answers. Or you can be more product specific or niche specific. So again, I'm not going to fill out some of these things in their entirety, but this is kind of the gist of things of how we like to structure it. Now, you'll notice that we don't have an about us page. So again, that's something that's totally up to you and your brand and your mission and your values. But if your mission and values are just to make money, then sometimes you'll find that it's a little bit hard to configure how to create this type of like passionate mission statement that customers can get behind. So it's totally up to you what you want to add here. You know, we're saying, oh, this is founded by two brothers from New Jersey who have a dream to sell the best products ever. Not a lie, but you know, you want to eventually transition your dropshipping store into a brand. And my definition of going from store to brand is going from being product focused, right? Trying to chase that next product that's gonna make you a lot of money, to then being customer focused, which is when you do find that product that is selling, you start to introduce new products based on the feedback you get from your customers that is going to best serve them. And in turn, if you give your customers, you know, if they're top of mind and you are serving them as best as you can, you will get a monetary return for that. And that's when you really become a brand and you care about your customer base. And it's not just about the dollar signs and making money. All right, now for the track your order page, you're typically gonna have to download some form of an application where it will actually have a template that you'll be able to use, and there'll be a big old box that says track your order and that they can enter their tracking information into, right? So that's one way, is you can get an app. The second way is there's actually a lot of really great tutorials on YouTube, including one from my last Shopify store creation tutorial, where you can actually go into the code and you can paste in a line of code and, you know, a bunch of different text that will actually populate into that tracking section and into that button where you don't need to pay for any apps or download any free apps. It'll just auto populate in this section. So now, as you can see, we have our headers, but we want to go to navigation to actually see how that is going to be shown to our customers. So for our main menu, this is essentially our header. I personally don't actually do homepage. I don't do product catalog. I do FAQ, about us, track your order, contact us. Now you might be asking, Kyle, why do you do it this way? And it's because we don't want to take a customer's attention away from the product that they're there to purchase, right? So you might be selling 5 products that are in totally different niches and industries, right? That's why we call this a hybrid store, is because it provides the flexibility of, you know, having a high conversion rate of a one product store, but having the flexibility of being able to test whatever products you want, driving traffic to that singular landing page where you're selling one product and the customer thinks that that's the only product that you sell and that's the only product that they're there for, which is true, to prevent them from navigating other places on the website. Now, once you have something like a niche store where you're selling a bunch of the same type of product and you actually want to encourage customers to order more things and to navigate around, that's when you can loosen that up and you can change the way that you provide that navigational experience to your customer. All right, so you get the point. We just set up our footer menu just with a bunch of things. I didn't pay too much attention to kind of the order that we use, but I tried to follow a very similar structure to what we do for our brands. So now when you actually go to preview your store, you'll actually see all right, so now you'll see that our header is configured. Our footer is also configured. So now that we've set up our header and our footer pages, it's time to set up our shipping, markets, and payment methods. So for example, if you have a niche store like this is a really smart move to make it easy to navigate to certain products that the customer might be interested in. And then as you can see on the footer, it's a very simple kind of footer section that has everything that they need. Now, there are going to be some default terms down here, but to actually configure it this way, we're going to actually do one more step. We're going to go ahead and add the footer menu so that we can see all of these things here in one place. All right, so for shipping, markets, and payments, we're going to go into the store settings. So we'll go ahead and start with payments. So under payments, you're going to default have PayPal activated. That is totally up to you. Regarding Shopify payments, you're going to go ahead and set this up. It's just going to ask for like an account and a routing number with the bank account that you want to receive deposits from. And they're going to want you to use their platform because they make money off of these transaction fees. If you want to use an external payment method, you would actually come over here to other providers and you would integrate a different payment method. So you definitely want to make sure you have those set up so that you're actually able to process money from your customers. I can't tell you how many times that we've set up new brands with students and they just didn't set this up. And then we had great ad metrics, but we weren't getting purchases. And we were like, why not? And it's because we didn't actually go through that full funnel checkout process and make sure that the shipping was set up, the markets were available, right? People could check out from other countries if that's where we're shipping to, etc. Now for shipping and delivery, you can come over here. Now this has changed a lot over the last couple of years, but we don't need to overcomplicate it. We just need to make sure that we're able to ship to the locations that we are actually marketing. So as you can see, there's this kind of default domestic versus international. And for the most part, we want to get rid of all of these things, right? You could totally charge shipping, but you want to customize it in a way that's not related to weight because you're likely not going to be using weight-based rates when you're shipping from China through an agent. All right, so now that we have our shipping zones set up, pretty simple. We just set up 2 free standard shipping. You'll notice that there's a warning that says, hey, customers in this international category won't be able to check out because all countries are in an inactive market. So that's where we have to go to this market section. So we're gonna go ahead and save this, and then we're gonna go over to markets. Now under markets, one thing that we like to do is if we are selling internationally to other countries, which is one of the big plays that we've been pivoting to over the last year or so, is selling from primarily the United States to now primarily countries in Europe. And there's a really cool Shopify Translate app that's native that you can add, you can install, and you can translate up to 2 languages with AI. So that means when a customer comes from France, let's say, and they get to your landing page, the entire website will be translated automatically to French, which is really cool. And it will increase the personability of that user experience to that specific country. And in turn, it will increase the conversion rate of those specific customers. All right, so now that we are in the market section, you'll see that we have active in the United States and we have inactive. I don't know why Shopify does this. It's very frustrating, but you just have to come to international and you have to go ahead and activate this. Very simple. So now we should successfully be able to sell to all of these countries that are outside of the United States. Now we can also do things like activate local currencies. So there is the geolocation translation app that I just showed you, in which you can also do in which you can do more than 2 languages, but you just have to manually translate those other ones. We use an app called Deepl, DEEPL.com. And then there's also the geolocation currency converter, in which let's say your primary currency is USD, but a customer comes from Europe and they want to see the price point in euros, that they're able to do so without having to take any extra steps or effort, like selecting a currency converter and manually changing it to their currency, because even that alone is a turnoff to a lot of customers these days. So as you can see under languages, this is where you're going to be customizing the geolocation languages, depending on where your customers are coming from. But usually what we do in the beginning is we default to English, and then any of the countries that we're seeing positive performance from, that's where we lean into, and then we kind of personalize and we customize the languages to those countries where there is evidence that there's positive performance with the English language, landing pages, creatives, copy, etc. Now, I'm not going to go too much into the nitty-gritty of all of these other sections, but with checkout, you can choose for customers to check out with their phone number, with their email, with both, to auto opt them into email marketing versus to ask their permission. You can also choose to customize, your thank you pages and abandoned cart emails and all that fun stuff. But right now, if you're just first launching, those things don't matter as much. What's important is that a customer is physically able to give you their credit card, swipe it, have that transaction go through, and then you be able to actually fulfill that product behind the scenes. All right, so now that we've set up shipping, markets, and our payment methods, it's time to come up with a brand name and a logo. So what I like to do is go into Canva, and I like to check Squarespace domains, or which is formerly Google domains, or GoDaddy, to see if that domain and that brand name is available. Now there's a lot of different ways that you can go about doing this, but I just like to come up with fun words off the top of my head, change around a few letters, and give them that kind of brandable feel. So for example, something like Nike, Amazon, Target, they aren't necessarily associated with a specific niche. You only know the niches that they're associated with based on the brand that they have developed and the association with those logos, with those company names, etc. But imagine you had no idea what Nike actually sold. It could be Nike furniture, a Nike eye mask, Nike shoes, a Nike shirt, Nike sunglasses. It's just a really clean, short, simple, and brandable name that you can sell almost any product, and no one's gonna really question why you're selling a product in a different industry, and you're not restricting yourself to something like sleepmask.com where you're testing that product, and now you have to change your entire domain, your entire brand, your logo, all that stuff to test a different product. So I had a friend from college that I saw a Snapchat from yesterday. Her name is Tori, and I would say that's a relatively unique name. Maybe a lot of people spell it with a Y, but it's a short 4-letter, but that's where we're gonna get started with. Now, what I like to do is if it's 4, 5, 6 letters, I like to see if I can attach a connecting word to it, such as try, we are in the front of it. For example, we are Tori, try Tori, Tori Brands is not available. So here's where it gets a little interesting. I just changed the Tori to Torah, and now we have Torah Brands as an available domain, which is honestly a really good brand name. So hypothetically, I would go ahead and snag this up. Now, as you can see, Try Torah is not available. We Are Torah is not available. Heiko's kind of sick. So like, boom, that's available. So like you can literally come up with a brand name in a couple of minutes by just fooling around with the Squarespace domains. And we just came up with Try Heiko. I actually like that a lot. I actually like that a lot better than Tori. I actually like that a lot better than Torah. So now we're gonna hop over to the logo creation section within Canva, and we're gonna pick a font and a style that is very easy to see the text, because the actual name in the text is the most important thing, not the graphics, the fancy icons, etc. And you don't wanna get too carried away with like the graphic design. You just need it to be clear, like what it says, what the brand name is. I personally try not to go with too feminine or too masculine of a font as well. So I could be a little bit pickier sometimes. What do we find? Heiko. So I'm actually not going to type in the word try Heiko. I'm just going to type in Heiko. All right, this looks pretty sick and it caught my eye. And now it's going to show me kind of similar fonts to that if I want to kind of fool around. But I'm going to try this and see what this looks like. Tell me that doesn't look sick. I mean, I literally just spent like 2 seconds on that. All right, I'm going to scale this up so that we can get the best quality like resolution of the logo. So we're going to scale it out just a little bit. And then if you have Canva Premium, what I always recommend doing is downloading without the background. But if you don't have Canva Premium, that's fine. You can just download it and then put it through a free background remover. Another thing that you can do is resize it. So for example, I can come over here into this kind of resize tool. Now, I think this might be a pro feature only, but again, there's tools that you can resize any image completely for free on Google. So right now it's 500 by 500 and the height is a little bit taller than what I'd like it to be in order to fit in a good place within Shopify. So I'm gonna try making this like maybe 250 and see how that looks. All right, so it almost filled it out perfectly. And again, the reason why we want to do this is because you don't want your header or your footer where you add your logo to be too stretched out if you add a square or a vertical style logo. All right, so to go ahead and add the logo, you're gonna come into customize, and then very simple, you're gonna go into this header section. You're gonna go into theme settings, and then there should be something that says logo. There it is right at the top. So I'm gonna drop this in. Now for the favicon, that's basically like what you see here for Shopify. So we don't really need that in the beginning, but as you can see, you know, a good reputable brand that wants to scale up and have a good customer experience, they'll usually throw that in there. So in my case, it might be an H, something simple that's not super fancy. All right, so now that the logo is in here, there's a couple of things, right? Number one, I probably want this to show in the center. So that's gonna be more of a structural thing that we're going to change in this header section. So on the right-hand side, you can see for desktop, we want this to be top center, let's say middle center. And then we might wanna scale this up just a little bit, make it a bit larger. So we're gonna go over here to the desktop logo width and see if we can get this to be a little bit bigger. I think personally that looks fine. Now we also wanna see what this looks like on mobile, right? So 80-90% of your customers will be coming on mobile. So we wanna make sure that it's adaptable to how customers are actually seeing it. All right, so let's first, let's go to the product page because I don't care as much about the home page. I really just care how the product page looks like. And let's go top to bottom, right? So for the announcement bar, we probably want to make this like a black background. So I'm just gonna say free gift this week only. So if we were to provide a free gift as opposed to saying what everyone else says, which is 50% off this week, you know, get free shipping this week, blah, 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 we're going to highlight something that's a little bit unique, say free gift this week only. Now, as you can see, our header is already configured here. Our footer is also configured, and it's gonna show it's gonna be vertically stacked here. We have this subscribe to our emails. We actually have 2 of them. So we're gonna get rid of one of these because one of them is useless. And so already it's coming along a lot better. All right, so now for the main product section. So for this text section, we could probably just go ahead and either remove or hide this. In some themes, that's called breadcrumbs. So it doesn't really add any value. Like, you know what the brand name is, so we're not gonna add that there. Product title is just automatically getting pulled from the product section within Shopify. Same thing with the price. Now for the variant picker, we can choose to change this up and we can go circular, square, none. Personally, I do like the pills style. Now for the quantity selector, you could choose to hide this. Like if it's a higher priced item that doesn't make sense for customers to get more than one of, you could choose to hide it, but like there's no point in not hiding it and preventing your customer from getting more than a singular unit. Now for the buy buttons, if you want to choose to have dynamic checkout, have a customer actually be able to immediately skip the kind of cart slider page and go straight to checkout, you're able to do so. However, if you want to introduce upsells in between the customer adding the cart and getting to the checkout page without necessarily creating too much friction in their purchasing experience, you can actually choose to remove this and just make a simpler decision for the customer to go in the exact path that you would like them to go without any uncertainty. So again, the description is automatically pulling this in from Shopify. Again, I don't love the way that this image looks, but if I wasn't lazy, I would go ahead and fix that. All right, so now you'll notice that, you know, what's the biggest differences between the store that we currently have and between a store like this, right? So they have some nice kind of benefit sections before you actually get to the pricing page. They also have this nice kind of bundle app that's set up, which we can easily configure if we are either on a different theme or we get an app where we're able to integrate these things. So one thing that I like to personally do is have this collapsible row. So I actually don't care for other people sharing this, but when it comes to a collapsible row, I can actually drag this up and I can have this right below that add to cart button, and this can actually be the description. So if I wanted to copy all of the content from here and add that into a collapsible row to save some space, and then create designated sections for the text and the images that just look a little bit cleaner. Similarly to what this brand did, we can totally do that. So you see they have these collapsible rows where there's FAQs, shipping details, all these things that a customer might want to know. And then you'll see that they have a little bit of a description and a features section without kind of taking up too much space. And then they have these designated alternating sections. That's something that we would likely build out. They introduce some icons, this kind of customer review section, and just more and more of these kind of customer testimonials to show that, hey, customers actually did purchase from this brand and they like their product. Now, this is exactly how we would generally set up our FAQ section. So we might have a little moving banner like this, and then an FAQ section at the very bottom. I'm not going to go through that entire process now, but you could easily do that with these collapsible rows where you just have that FAQ section and then you have these FAQ drop downs in a very similar fashion to how they're shown here. So as you can see, if you want basically like some form of a banner, a slideshow, you want different columns to include text, you want images that you can include text next to, similar to that brand. There's all of these different things that you can go ahead and add in very seamlessly. All right, so let's say you wanted to add these benefits before they actually see the price point to kind of juice things up. Then you can just add these text blocks. Then you can quickly just duplicate these and swap out different benefits. Now, we like to use a theme that is very similar to the way that this brand is structured, and it's called the Shrine theme. The reason why I didn't use that for the demonstration is because I didn't want to pay for it out of transparency. The one that we usually get is around $300-$350, the best version possible, because you save a lot of money on apps, and more importantly, you convert customers at a significantly higher rate because the customization opportunities are very, very good. So I believe that this store is using that Shrine theme. So if you wanted some of these features to be able to customize and you wanted to kind of fast track that and not take as much time as it's taking us here, then you can always try different themes like the Shrine theme. But other than that, for sake of time, this is pretty much how we structure our product pages. We might change some of the aesthetics, add more content, split up certain sections, add that FAQ footer section, maybe throw in reviews. We don't like to include those in the beginning because I do not condone or recommend adding illegitimate reviews for a variety of reasons. And there you have it. So we have a fully functioning website that is close to being ready to be advertised. Obviously, there's a few finishing touches that we would put on this, but nothing. But I would say that the biggest thing here that has changed over the last few years is really being able to build trust with that customer, being able to handle the objections that that customer is thinking about the product throughout your copy, being able to have superior images and content throughout the website that really sells the product more than the copy ever could. And then having really, really good marketing so that you can already showcase the product in a way that the customer is begging to purchase this product, so that by the time they get to the website, they don't really care as much how it looks. They just want the product as soon as possible. So that is pretty much it. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, if you want to share video ideas, all that fun stuff, shoot me a DM on Instagram, because that is the best place to reach me. And if you want me and my team to help you build out a brand 10 times better than how this looks, because we'll have a lot more time together, then definitely consider filling out our coaching application. We only take on a few people every single month. Because of that, we are able to invest so much time and attention to each individual student that comes through. And our average student graduates our coaching program after 90 days, doing more than $1,000 a day profitably, usually around $200 to $300 profit per day. That's a $6,000 to $9,000 per month in profit business created in 90 days. And that's our average student. I'm not gonna sit here and brag too much about our multi six-figure per month students, but those happen a lot more often than you think. So I hope this was valuable and it taught you something. Now, there's a lot of great videos that are on YouTube that share how to build a store using different themes, different tactics. I'm not saying any of them are right or wrong and that this is the best video ever. There are definitely a lot of things we could have done better here, but for sake of time, this is how you lay out the bare bones of that website and get it to where you can just have that first effective product page that you're able to market to. And then once you start marketing, that is where you're going to learn how to create better and better product pages, better and better copy, better marketing strategies, all of that fun stuff. All right, that's it. I'll catch you guys in the next video.